What is going on, everybody? I am back with another Prizepicks MLB player props video. This one going to be breaking it down, giving you guys my second Prizepicks MLB ticket that I have locked in today. Have locked to myself, have sent over to the VIP, just as I did yesterday with this ticket, guys. We're going to be breaking down exactly what went into these plays, what goes in my plays every single day throughout this video. The thought process. This was what we had yesterday. Was not able to get some content out. We had a bunch of early games starting. Yesterday, the time slots were really difficult. It's kind of the same thing here today on Memorial Day, where we do have some games starting a little bit early. So hopefully you got those notification bells on so that you don't miss any of my earlier picks. We will have some from the early games. We will have some from the late games. We'll have a full 6-pick flex for you here on the video today. And if you're interested in getting access to every single one of my tickets, every single one of my picks as soon as I place them, like I said, unfortunately, Ozuna let us down yesterday, man. Acuna suffered a torn ACL. That really stunk. We got lucky with the reboot as far as that Prizepicks policy to get us back to a 5-pick flex. And then, unfortunately, Ozuna just did not come through. So yesterday in the MLB streets, my picks, this is what you're looking at. Double up, as you can see, placed at 1:29 p.m. Eastern. I am on the East Coast. And then if you head on over to my Discord, I'm going to send it into them immediately. This was sent in at 1:30 p.m. Eastern. So obviously, I'm placing, I'm sending in right away. You're getting notified. I've got a bunch of different resources to let you know the top type of slip types for each platform that I cover. I'm gonna let you know how many units you're running. So this was a 1-unit play. All that fun stuff. Bunch of different tools to help you succeed long-term, help you learn a bunch on these platforms. It's not only myself, but it's also the community. But I'm gonna be sharing a ticket with you here for free. If you're interested in signing up over there, guys, would highly recommend you do so. It is the KJK VIP member package. It will be linked below in the description. It's on Patreon. When I'm not able to get content out, I'm in there every single day. So this week, I have weddings coming up. So I'm going to tell you right now, there's a good chance you're not going to be seeing content from me the entire week because, family first kind of deal. Got some important weddings going on. So I'll be over there grinding as always, but the content, might not be seeing it from me, just so you know, that's why. Traveling, weddings. All right, so without further ado, let's talk about this 6-pick that I ran today, second one that I locked in, and we'll break down exactly why I like it. So this is what we got here. We got the Vladimir Guerrero Jr. over fantasy score and the Bo Bichette fantasy score for the hitter fantasy score, both at 7.5. I think these are pretty friendly lines, man. Both these guys have been struggling a bit throughout the year. This is a really good spot for them to excel. Number one, they're taking on Nick Nastrini. He's been terrible. The White Sox bullpen is terrible. This game is going to be played in Chicago with the wind blowing out at 14 miles an hour to straight away center. The Blue Jays have a 5.27 implied run total. Expected to put up a lot of runs. Vladdy's going to hit in that 3 spots, so we'll kick things off with him. He's been starting to heat up here, and like I said, the 7.5 hitter fantasy score is really good for this spot. Typically speaking, if these guys were hitting well, I'm sure they'd be up to like 8.0, 8.5 in this spot. Probably going to benefit us that they've been struggling a little bit here because we can break down these numbers. Like I said, that weather is going to be a big deal. In similar games, we're looking at a 37.7% increase for home runs, a 25.4% increase for total runs, and it's going to add on 21.6% as far as the opposing pitcher's ERA. So that's all fantastic. We could break down the exact underlying metrics here for Nastrini. It's not been good, bro, at all. He's given up. It's all red, as you can see on the right side there. Red is bad. That just means he stinks. 533 weighted on base average to lefties, a 348 weighted on base average to righties, a 40% fly ball rate to those righties. As we discussed with the wind blowing out, that could be a major issue for him here today. He's got a 12% walk rate and only a 17.9% K rate. Vladdy and Bichette really haven't been striking out at all. It's been the power that hasn't quite been there for them this year. Still hitting good for average, weighted on base average, all that fun stuff. And with them having such a massive implied run total, I'd expect them to just get a ton of at-bats, and then we'll round things out with that White Sox bullpen, guys. They're terrible. They have the 1, 2, 3, 4th worst bullpen in the entire MLB with a 4.57 xFIP on the season. So I'd expect Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Bo Bichette to get a ton of at-bats here. They really don't need to do anything too special to surpass these fantasy scores where they're set today. Honestly, like, a 2 RBI single, a walk, a run, kind of just getting on bases, getting hit in by teammates, and getting like an RBI throughout the game should do it. And this is a beautiful spot to be able to have that type of opportunity, as I have discussed. They're the road team. They'll get that guaranteed top of the ninth inning at bat no matter what, even if they're up in the game, as opposed to if they were the home team and they're waiting, they're not going to get hit in the bottom of the ninth, something you'll hear me talk about a lot. It's just an extra bonus, man. The amount of times that could pay off for you where you're sitting there and you need, a couple more fantasy points. And they luckily get that at bat in the ninth inning. It could be a big deal for you. So it's always something I'm talking about. And then, of course, that bullpen data is always something I'm talking about as well. And then guaranteed rate field from a hitting environment aspect, pretty friendly for home runs. You can see the triples and the doubles not quite as friendly, but those home runs, not the deepest of ballparks. 330 down that left field line for those right-handed pull hitters, 335 down the right field line. So wind blowing out, man. We could see both these guys go deep here today. Wouldn't surprise me in the least. And I do think hitters tend to know. They know when the wind's blowing out in Chicago. Probably going to try to lift the ball. Probably trying to get those home run numbers up. Especially like Vlad and Bichette, like I said, haven't really had the greatest of power numbers throughout the season. So I'm sure they're looking to hit some home runs if at all possible. Next guy's going to be Shohei Ohtani. Taking on the New York Mets. This is going to be one of the top plays on the Daily Grind Fantasy Optimizer, so we can go ahead and pull that up real quick for you guys here. Shohei Ohtani, over 8.5 hitter fantasy score. You'll hear me talk about a ton of different data points on this channel throughout my content. I want to be looking at as many different reliable data sources as I can throughout the day to make my picks to give me the best chance to win money. Daily Grind Fantasy Optimizer, if you have not checked it out, use that promo code KJKDFS. They're going to get 25% off. This is going to bring in all of the top optimal props on the board for you guys. And we're looking at Ohtani today. This is the best possible prop you could take on the board for him. And it's popping as one of the best props on the board for the MLB action today. 53.44% chance to hit. This is taking in every single thing that goes into the Prizepicks fantasy scoring format on a sports book where there's millions of dollars invested and then giving us a projection. So if you were to go to DraftKings and add up all of the different things that go into the hitter fantasy score on Prizepicks, you're seeing that they're expecting him to end with 9.3 fantasy points. So that's really valuable data. Millions of dollars invested in the DraftKings and setting in appropriate lines. We can take advantage of using this data on a site like a Prizepicks once again. So 3 points for the singles, 5 points for the doubles, 8 points for the triples, 10 for the home runs, 2 for the runs, 2 for the RBIs, 2 for the base on balls, 2 for hit by pitches, and 5 for stolen bases. All of these data points have lines on DraftKings, right? It's pulling in all of that data and it's giving us a projection based on all of the things, all of the odds DraftKings giving us for this particular athlete to perform. Ohtani, you pull up the charts, they look really red. I don't care. If you've been watching baseball, you know this is one of the most talented players in the entire league. He's in one of the best talented lineups in the entire league. The Dodgers have a 4.65 implied run total here. And he gets to take on a guy in Tyler Miguel who has traditionally been terrible versus left-handed hitting. So Miguel's a guy who's been giving up a lot of hard contact to lefties for quite some time. Like I said, there's so many good things to like about Ohtani. I mean, he hits in the Dodgers lineup. He has Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman in front and behind him. So, I mean, when you have to pick your poison between Mookie, Freeman, and Ohtani, good luck. And the fact that he hits right between them, it's going to give him even more opportunities. Like lineup protection, baseball is very important. If you have talent in front of you and behind you, it forces the opposing pitcher to kind of have to throw to you somewhat. So that's fantastic. And we get a ton of stolen base upside with Ohtani. You'll hear me talk about that a lot. You'll hear me talk about that with multiple picks throughout this video. But Ohtani's got 13 stolen bases on the entire season. That comes in tied for 8th in the entire MLB. When you get those 5 fantasy points for those stolen bases on Prizepicks, it is huge if you can steal bases. I mean, he could literally just get, a single. That's going to be 3 points, as you can see. Then he steals second. That's going to be 5. He's up to 8. And then he gets hit in for a run. and he's already surpassed his hitter fantasy score. You'll see that a lot if you're able to get a guy that's able to steal a base in a talented lineup like the Dodgers. So this is all factored into the projections, all the things I'm discussing, right? But hopefully that makes sense. Like, we don't want to just be reliant on one thing, especially when the hitter fantasy score is all the way up to 8.5. Like with Vlad and Bichette that we discussed at the beginning of the video, 7.5 is a lot easier to clear than 8.5. Might not seem like a big deal, but if you break down the fantasy scoring format, I've been covering Prizepicks Mlb for quite some time now. I'm very familiar with the scoring format. I'm telling you, 8.5 and 7.5 is a pretty big difference. So, yeah, man. Miguel, been struggling against lefties. He's in a great lineup. I mean, we could break down those numbers. Miguel's showed a little bit more talent this year, but, I mean, he's still giving up that 41% fly ball rate to those lefties, only a 33.3 ground ball rate. That could be a big issue. And really, he either strikes the guy out, walks the guy. The hard contact has been better. I have to give him credit. But if we go back to last season, the lefties is really bad. A 358 WOBA, the 151 ISO is decent, but he's been struggling against lefties for quite some time throughout his entire career. Just so happens Shohei Ohtani is, arguably the best lefty in the MLB. So good luck. 373 ISO, 494 WOBA, all these fantastic things on the season. Last 30 days, he's been locked in as well. Only striking out 19% of the time. So, like the spot out for Ohtani, we talked about the Daily Grind Fantasy Optimizer. You're agreeing with us on this one for our next one. And then we'll go to Coors Field for our next two picks. Best hitting environment in baseball. For those of you that don't know, this game is going to be played in Colorado. We can pull up the Colorado ballpark. And it's green for weighted on base average, runs, slugging, on base percentage, average. Coors Field. It's the best hitting environment for multiple reasons. The dimensions are just massive. The outfield's huge, so it's very difficult to cover the entire outfield. Balls are going to find the gap easier. You get the point, right? Then there's added elevation in Colorado. The Rockies. In those mountains, the elevation tends to have the ball carry further. It's 76 degrees right now. Like, once it gets up into like the 80s, the 90s, that's when things get really fun. But still, mid-70s, Coors Field, you're not going to find a better ballpark to be hitting in than this one. And we have two pretty mediocre pitchers taking the bump in this one. So we'll start with the Jose breakdown. He's been absolutely in fuego. I'm sure he's going to be a popular pick on Prizepicks today, just simply from people pulling up this last 5 game logs with the all green. People love to see that. But we just talked about the Coors Field effect, so I don't think he's going to be slowing down anytime soon here. He gets to take on Austin Gomber, who has been really good as far as limiting hard contact. I have to admit, these numbers look pretty impressive. From the ISO, the weighted on base, all that stuff to the right-handed side of the plate. But he only strikes guys out at a 16.9% clip, which means the ball is going to be put in play early and often. And sometimes talent just beats talent. And Jose's numbers versus lefties, his numbers across the board are just ridiculous to both sides. He's a switch hitter, but 371 ISO, ridiculously good. He has a 436 WOBA, ridiculously good. He only strikes out 11.7% of the time, ridiculously good. And he can steal bases. He's going to be on the second page here for top stolen base guys in the entire league for Cleveland with 8 stolen bases. He's tied with a bunch of different guys here for 28th, but I mean, he's up there for the stolen bases as well, which is fantastic. We discussed that with Ohtani. We're discussing that with all these guys. So Jose is going to be in a great spot here. His team has a 5.59 implied run total. They're expected to put up a ton of runs. Once again, hopefully we get that 1 stolen base from him when he gets on. That'd be fantastic. That's a 5 fantasy points because his line is a little bit higher, but there should be a ton of runners on for him, and he should get a bunch of at-bats. And lastly, the Colorado Rockies bullpen is terrible. They are the 3rd worst bullpen in the entire MLB. They're that team that's worse than the White Sox, who we discussed, with a 4.62 xFIP. So, can't ask for much more, really. On the road, guaranteed top of the 9th inning at-bats. Really, the only thing you could ask for is Austin Gomber to be giving up a little bit more hard contact, but that's about it. And then on the other side of this game, I have some interest in Tovar in the 2 spot. The Rockies don't exactly have the best lineup. However, they get to take on Curry, who is terrible versus right-handed hitting. He only strikes them out at a 6% clip. He doesn't walk any of them, which is actually going to be helpful for balls put in play. A 250 ISO, a 378 WOBA, ground ball, fly ball stuff is awful. He's just terrible versus right-handed hitting. And Tofar has quietly been, having a breakout year here. 179 ISO, 331 WOBA on the season. His weakness is his strikeouts, which we just discussed. Curry doesn't strike anyone out. Then we can look at the last 30 days data. He's been even more locked in with a 262 ISO, 343 WOBA. Once again, really his only weakness is the strikeouts. And he does have some stolen base upside. You'll hear me talk about that all the time once again. But, I mean, if we go to the Rockies, he's going to be one of the top guys for stolen bases. He's only got 4 on the season, but that's second on the team, only trailing Doyle. So out of anybody to snag a bag on the team, it's going to be him. We'll take everything that we can get. Hopefully he can get one today. Once again, and the only other bad thing is the Cleveland Guardians do have a really good bullpen. So we need him to get to this guy early, but with it only being a 7.5 hitter fantasy score in Coors Field, like I'm willing to take that risk, man. I mean, you're not going to get 7.5 hitter like J-Rams all the way up to 9.0. That's what you're going to be seeing most of the time. So far, 7.5 has a lot more to do with the Rockies lineup just not being all that great. But as you can see, he's still been surpassing this thing, man. And you can't ask for a much better spot to start things off in this game than against Curry, who once again, Tovar hits from the right-hand side of the plate. This guy is just so bad versus right-handed hitting. So we'll take that, and then we'll round things out with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 there we got, right? And the last pick we'll discuss is going to be the Framber Valdez strikeouts over 5.5. Hopefully this hasn't gotten bumped. I know it was popping on the DGF optimizer, and I have a bunch of underlying analytics that agree with it. It has gotten bumped. Not surprised in the least. I had a feeling this might happen. He's favored on a ton of different books to go over. Once again, if we just pull back up the DGF optimizer, it does look like he did get bumped, unfortunately. But what can I do? My advice would be to probably just play the 5 pick. As you can see, I did get this in before the bump. I was hoping to get this free content out to you guys before bumps occurred, but this is going to happen every single day. When you get good value, plays are going to get bumped. Valdez is heavily favored over on multiple sports books, and when you look at the underlying metrics, it makes a ton of sense. I mean, the Mariners just strike out so much, man. Like, look at these strikeout rates versus left-handed pitching, 30%, 30%, 34%, 23, 26, 37, 40. That's on the current season. Let's go over the last 30 days. It really hasn't gotten much better outside of Ty France. They just strike out so much. Yeah, Dylan Moore and JP Crawford on the season have a low strikeout rate, but then you go to the last 30, they've actually been striking out more. So Framber's got a 19.6% K rate versus right-handed hitting, a 20.8% K rate versus lefties. It's nothing like crazy, but he's got a decent leash. He's going to go out there and throw, over 90 pitches, and the Mariners strike out a ton. So yeah, man, unfortunately, that was going to be my 6th and final pick. It did get bumped. Do with that what you will. My recommendation probably would be to just run the 5 pick. Maybe do 1 5 pick without him in case he lets us down, and then 1 6 pick with the bump if you're feeling that, but I probably wouldn't do the bump. I just don't promote playing bumps. Over the long term, it's really going to cost you. So I didn't want to leave you guys hanging on this video today. Memorial Day, hopefully going to help you out with some free picks that are going to cash in for you. And if you enjoyed this content, it would be greatly appreciated if you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content that I upload. Once again, this is an actual ticket that I'm playing that I did send into the VIP. It's the same story you'll hear from me at the beginning of the video. If you want to get access to every single one of my plays, as soon as I place them, this will give you a little bit of a preview as to all that goes into my plays. This is every single day behind the scenes. All the stuff you're seeing in the breakdown is going into the plays every day. And overall, the results have been great, man. Like I said, this was yesterday without no video. Last video, things did not go well, so I apologize. That'll happen. But overall, things have been going pretty good, man. You're going to have those bad days. You're going to have those good days. As long as you keep most of your screen looking like this, more green than red, the sweeps will come. You're going to go 6 for 6 eventually. So thanks for tuning in. This is what we're rocking with for the 6-pick flex that I'm sharing with you guys today. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, once again, like button, subscribe. Check out the VIP if you haven't already. You're missing out if you haven't hopped over there. But hey, the like button's free, so thanks for tuning in. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Best of luck to you guys today on your MLB picks. We'll see you in the next one.